Hello, YouTube. So, with the release of another AEW product means that it is time to bring back Billy Celio because we're probably going to talk about Series 1 hockey. Wait, no, we're probably not. No, we could talk about that, but we're not going to. The banner, Mike Swag, it says we're probably going to talk about AEW Upper Deck. Billy, good evening. How are you?
Doing great. Let's talk some wrestling.
Sounds good, buddy. Sounds good. Now, one of the things that we'll do, since there is actually a little bit of ground we're going to cover, we got Flagship that is coming out. Basically, I think today is the official release date because I've seen the box breaks and everything. We're recording this on the Wednesday, November the 30th, so I think today was the official street date, I believe. Yes?
Yes. Yeah. Came out today.
Perfect. And I've definitely already seen one case break, so we'll talk about that a little bit at the end. But just before we get to that, we did have a release earlier this month. So, and actually, while we were at the Toronto Expo, I was able to chat with Billy a little bit. I got a chance to open up 2 boxes of Spectrum, so AEW Spectrum. I enjoyed the product. I had a little bit of fun with the product, so I want to talk about that for a couple of minutes. And what I'm going to do is, since we're recording this ahead of time, and I'll put it up on the channel, I'm actually going to put little timestamps on it. So if you want to hear the bit of conversation, we're going to chat about Spectrum for a couple of minutes. And then we're going to talk a little bit about AEW Metal Universe, which obviously a very popular product in general. And then AEW is going to get the Metal Universe treatment with some of the inserts and things. And I'll show some of those cards. And we'll also talk about Allure, which is one of those ones that you either like it or you don't like it. I think there's some interesting things in it, but obviously Billy can also elaborate a little bit on Allure as well. And then the rest of the conversation at the end, we'll also talk about Flagship, because obviously there's a lot of stuff in Flagship. I already told Billy ahead of time that obviously I collect the Britt Baker cards. I do that on the channel. But the Britt Baker card, not only do I like the photo, I was able to photo match it, Billy. Photo match it.
That's amazing. You are a true fan.
Yes. But it just so happened, like I was telling to Billy, that I remember watching the episode that it was on. I was like 99% sure I knew what it was, but, and I'll actually show you guys, if you actually put in the match, the participants of the match, it's the first thing that comes up from AEW's official YouTube channel. So, and you're going to see the photo on the thumbnail is going to look eerily similar. AKA, it's the same photo. All right, so let's get into this one a little bit. So first, I want to talk Spectrum. I actually enjoyed the product. I thought it was really good for what it was. I felt like it was an appropriate blend of, obviously you had Flagship, and this was kind of the contrast to it. This is a higher end product, less cards per pack. We have more memorabilia, an autograph in every pack at the minimum. You've got an autograph in there. From your perspective, feedback you got or anything, how do you feel like it was received? What was the feedback you received?
Well, I like you said, I really enjoyed the product. One of the hockey products I built is SP Game Used. Mm-hmm. And so we kind of modeled this a little bit off of SP Game Used, since a lot of our autographs that we get are sticker labels. I know everybody wants to see hard signed. We do what we can, but what we were working with was sticker labels. We get a lot of really cool memorabilia from AEW. You saw turnbuckles in the set. You saw match used tables, aprons, mat, banners, like a whole bunch of different stuff. And so we just kind of wanted to take advantage of a lot of the memorabilia that they give us.
Just while you're talking, I could show a card there, just as an example. That's perfect. The Ring General's card that has the ring apron, the mat, and the turnbuckle. So that's an example. So that's a Serena Deeb. It may or may not be sitting, waiting for me to receive. I'm just saying, I'm a fan of the product, is what I'm getting at, is what I'm trying to convey here. Please.
So, a lot of people have said they like cards look. The price point is something that, the prices go up and down on products. And because of the anticipation of a high-end product for the first time in AEW, there was a lot of demand and the prices kind of went up. So it kind of, hit a point where, you would say, this is probably about as high as you can go right now. And it's dipped a little bit, but it's still, it's still up there. And like I said, the quality of the cards, I think, that come out, they look really nice. The base cards look great. There's the parallels, the deco foil that's used on it really pops on the cards. There's a lot of unique memorabilia for the cards, and the autographs, are some of the best wrestlers in AEW. So it's a great opportunity to get a higher end, a thick card, like a card that you put in your hand. You're like, I've got something special here when you hold the cards in your hand.
Absolutely. So just while Billy was explaining that, I wanted to show a couple of the cards because I got a chance to open a couple of boxes of it and pull a couple of different. I had a little bit of luck with some of the pulls, some fun ones, and it was a bit of a mixed bag. It's one of those things where in a product like that, it can be feast or famine. It's always kind of a collation thing, a little bit of luck of the draw. I did have one where I pulled a Sting base card and a Sting memorabilia card, and then the other one, Billy was around when I opened one of them, and it was a Layla Hirsch autograph. Not quite as exciting, but it is what it is. I know Layla Hirsch, so I'm familiar with her. But it's like you're gonna get a mix. Although I did see a couple that had a little bit of a heavy Marco stunt heavy, so it could be worse.
The cards come through feeders. They're all mixed up.
Yep.
Different feeders pull out different cards. You could get a card a pack that has a lot of the same wrestler in the same pack. So we try to avoid that, but it does happen sometimes.
Yeah. No, it's one of those things though. I like in the spirit of being fair, and it's one of those things I like to have conversation with folks, and I like to present the reality of it. It's not just like, oh, I'm enthusiastic about the product because I like the property, and I know that Billy and the team work really hard to do as good a job as they can. We have a chance to chat a little bit, so I have an understanding of some of the challenges of it. So I want to give a praise and applause when I think certain things are being done well, and I can appreciate the effort behind it. But sometimes you just get unlucky, and sometimes some stuff happens like that. I saw some breaks that just didn't work out too much, and I saw some that were amazing. So it's one of those things. It's going to be a mixed bag with a product like that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, a lot of high-end products are, like you said, feast or famine. We try to put hits of all kinds in there. Like you're not going to go in a pack with all base cards or like all memorabilia cards. There's an autograph in every single pack. There's a numbered base card in every pack, and then you get 2 unique memorabilia cards in every pack, along with 3 more base cards. And to be honest with you, even the secondary market on the base cards isn't too bad. You'll see a lot of them go anywhere between just a base card between like $5 and $20. So
yeah, and we also had the metal cards, which were a big feature in this one. The metal cards in particular were a big
Oh
one as
yes,
far.
sorry, forgot about that. Yeah,
Yeah,
the
don't
metal.
worry, I got
The
you. I got visual aids too as you go. So tell us about the metal cards a little bit.
I was super excited to. I think these are some of the first. Well, I think we got beat to the punch, by like a month or two by I think Impeccable and something else. Like I thought this was going to be the first product that had turnbuckle in it, and then a couple months before there was turnbuckle, and I thought this was going to be the first product that had metal in it, and if it would have come out at the time it was supposed to come out, it would have been the first product with metal cards. But I really like how the metal cards came out. You can see right there the Britt Baker, the chair shots. I just thought that was so unique because how many times do you go to these events and they have like the specialty chairs with the wrestlers or the event logo on top of the chair, and if you're sitting in the first 5 to 10 rows, you get to keep the chair for paying so much for your ticket. But so I'm like, this is perfect. I had it's kind of funny. I read some comments on some stuff when people are talking about Upper Deck, and some people are like, they're either way clever or not clever at all. And this is one of those, like, we try to think of some wrestling stuff. Me being an avid wrestling fan for years and years and years, this is one of those clever things that I think worked out really well. It was the metal chairs, and then the full gear cards look really nice also. And they're pretty rare throughout a case, so you're only going to see like a few metal cards per case. And when the subject count is between 15 and 25 subjects, it's a difficult set to build for sure.
Yeah, and I found, like I said, because I do collect certain characters, and I was showing some of the Britt Baker ones that I picked up. I could have waited and probably been able to get certain ones a little bit cheaper, just because that's the way the market flows a lot of times. But those cards are actually pretty tough. So it's one of those things, like if you can get it for what price that you think is fair, I think, and especially if you're going to enjoy it, you're going to hang on to it, and it's going to be in your PC anyway, then I think that's okay. But there's a lot of stuff in there that is going to be available a little later, because obviously we got EPAC stuff at some point that's going to come out, and that's also going to contribute to some stuff that we haven't seen yet. I think it's going to be interesting to see how much of it ends up coming out of EPAC, and how much of it is coming out of boxes as well.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's on EPAC, and I'm not sure when that's going to be released, but it'll be another opportunity to get a number of the cards that are in the set for sure.
Absolutely. Now, moving on a little bit from Spectrum, we've got some of the other ones that have been announced. And like I said, one of the big one, Skybox Metal Universe. So that's the biggie right there. It's the PMGs, the future PMGs, and wallets are screaming right now from off in the distance. I can hear them. I can hear the screams right now. It's going to be a bold move, Billy. A bold move, Mr. Celio. So just general thoughts. Obviously, Metal Universe is a very popular property, and PMGs are quite the pull.
Well, we've already established the fact that we don't want these sets to rely on autographs. We
Mm-hmm.
want value to be added to an autograph of a wrestler. And so we have to come up with ideas, or we have to rely on established ideas of ink on paper, or memorabilia or stuff like that, to create value. And what better, you know, ink on paper card that adds value than PMGs? They are, you know, so all after cards in every sport that we make them, whether it's Metal Universe champions, or hockey, or vintage basketball, and baseball and football. These are some of the biggest cards in the history of trading cards. The green Michael Jordan is arguably a top 10 card out there of all time. So we wanted to be able to do that with wrestling. And there's a bunch of other iconic inserts that you're kind of scrolling through right now.
Yeah, I paused on this one because I know this is one of the classic ones that a lot of the basketball guys in particular, and we've
Oh yeah,
got them in hockey as well. But this one is the jambalaya is a big iconic one, and then we've got Sting here on this one, and
yeah.
it's the greatest hits collection of a lot of the big ones from this era.
And one thing that we wanted to do, and one thing that we do with Metal Universe is, I've built the hockey set, and now I've built the AEW set, and there's classic designs, and then there's we don't want to turn this into Fleer retro.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want a set that's just all the same design over and over again. Here you see Intimidation Nation. That's kind of like what we call a pickup design. That's a design that has been created in the past that we have basically turned for AEW. But then there's some other inserts that we kind of shift some stuff around, or give our designers their own chance to put their stamp on a set, like you see with the jambalayas. I remember when the first time I got a design for that, I'm like, it didn't look right, and I just like, give me a background that just looks like the ring, like a bunch of just ring, like make it like all connected, like it's a ring. Like I wanted some sort of pattern, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, well, if you make it kind of like a square, almost like it looks like a wrestling ring, like a bunch of wrestling rings all connected to each other. And that's kind of what we got with the highlighted part of this jambalaya card. Is it looks like a square pattern, but the thought process was to make it look like a wrestling ring in the back, like many different wrestling rings from an aerial view in the background. So, I'm giving my designers a chance to kind of make their own history in some of these sets, but also making sure that we put in some designs that people will love and remember. Like we do have the retro, set, and then there'll be retro PMGs. But like the base design, it's a whole new base design, and I think it's actually, I really, there's the retro right there. Yeah. So
Yeah, I wanted to
we'll
grab that.
have,
So the retro, and I'll scroll up to the PMG here. This is
yeah.
a new one.
And I thought our design team did a good job with this design for wrestling, because
Mm-hmm.
wrestling is a little bit different than hockey, like a little more edgier and stuff. So this is the design that they came up with. There's an example of one of the red PMGs. But we wanted to just kind of, we always with AEW give them their own thing. We didn't want to just necessarily pick up the hockey design and pick up the metal universe or the metal champions designs for stuff. We want to give AEW their own designs. But that being said, we also wanted to make sure we brought back some of the iconic designs that people are expecting.
No, absolutely. And thank you for that rundown. That's why I wanted to show off a couple of the cards while we were chatting about it. Just because I did think it was very interesting. Kind of, obviously, like I said, as a person who's a collector, and Billy and I were chatting about it, and it's one of those things. Wrestling fans tend to have their favorites. Yes, they build sets, absolutely. But I know that like the player collection category, I've definitely seen a big expansion in it. I've seen folks that will collect certain characters, and I have my favorites that I'll pick up and grab, and ones that I focus on. I showed off some of those Britt Baker cards because that's one that I focus on. I'm just thinking of the Britt Baker PMG, and I'm trying to think of like, that's gonna be interesting. I might have to just pull that one, or maybe make a trade with somebody if I pull something else, because that's gonna make things interesting. But I'm thinking ahead a little bit on that one. It's gonna be a challenge, I think. But the challenge can be a good thing as well. It's one of those things that if you are able to get one, especially if a character that you like, that can be an extra special moment. Or you pull like an awesome character in a PMG format. That's really cool. It's one of those things that's kind of enjoyable from that perspective.
And that's one of the things I love about building wrestling sets is the fact that, you know, it's not as much about rip and flip with wrestling as maybe some other sports.
Mm-hmm.
There are people that really like open up packs, and they have people that they collect. And you know, we've had some discussions about just not being able to find certain cards on the market.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that when people get it, they keep it. You
They
know,
do. Yeah.
when I open up a pack of, you know, sports cards, if I get a Red Wing, yes, I keep it. But there's a lot of people collecting like trading or Detroit anything. But there's a lot of people that, you know, collect sports cards that they're just hoping to get a big hit that they can sell. And yeah, there's some of that in wrestling, but man, there's a lot of people that are, you know, when they get a hit, it's something that they want to keep and like kind of show off, like this is what I got. Check it out. Not for
Mm-hmm.
sale.
Yeah. And there's definitely also an element like old and new. Like it's not just exclusive to newer cards. There's also an element of hoarding. Like I don't know if you can imagine this. Sometimes there are player collectors who hold multiples and multiples of even some of the low number. Like it's crazy. I've seen things. I've seen things. That's all I'm saying. Now,
My C thing, like you've seen pictures of my Ty Conti exclusive
I
collection.
wasn't going to call you out. I was just saying, hypothetically, I've seen these things. I've seen photographic evidence of this manner of hoarding. I have seen this. I was trying
Yeah,
to let you off the hook. I wasn't going to say anything. I wasn't going to
those
say anything. So we'll move on from Billy's hoarding problem, and we'll discuss it at a later time. But for now, what I'd like to do, Billy, your personal favorite, I want to talk about Allure. Because that is going to be an interesting one. That is another one that was announced recently. And Allure, for those folks that are familiar with the product, I am familiar with it from the hockey side. It's kind of a love it or hate it kind of product, but it's one of those ones that does have, like, if you like building rainbows and things, there are some options there as far as rainbows are concerned. Now I'll show a couple here, Billy, but if there's anything in particular that you'd like to talk through, we definitely can. So feel free, knock yourself out anywhere you want to go on this one.
So, you know, one of the things that people have requested and really wanted was a chromium stock AEW set. And you know, we have two options pretty much: O-Pee-Chee Platinum and Allure. And we kind of thought Allure fit the bill a little bit better than O-Pee-Chee Platinum, because one of the things with Allure is we come up with some creative, some kind of quirky inserts in Allure in other sports. And so we thought this might be a place where you could kind of do the same thing, have some fun with it. You know, there's lots of color, there's lots of parallels, and so we wanted to do that like we do with the regular Allure, but then also have some fun inserts. And of course, you go straight to the one that everybody keeps
I'm going
talking
in
about.
order, Billy. I am going in order. I didn't skip anything. This is the third picture on this article.
So this is funny. So, you know, this set was built. What people again don't understand is how long ago some of these sets were built. And this set was built a while ago. And you know, wrestling and ice cream are kind of like, when I grew up, I remember the ice cream bars. I don't know about you, but I remember they had these ice cream bars. When CM Punk debuted, they had these chocolate ice cream bars. And I was just like, this would be a fun kind of like die cut insert to create like some sort of ice cream bar. And how many times do you see like wrestlers, you know, yelling and screaming during a match? So this is kind of like a ice cream for, and I don't necessarily know keep in mind, these images are also not necessarily the images that are going to be on the cards. These are all
Sure.
mock-ups.
Yep.
But it's going to be pictures of wrestlers screaming, and obviously you have an ice cream bar that is exactly the same as the ones that were used on CM Punk's debut night. If you don't remember that and you just see this insert and you're like, "What in the world is this?" You know what? It's just something fun. Not every set is built for everybody. Not every insert is built for everybody. Some of like the pure wrestling, I like wrestling for the wrestling and that's it, might not understand or might not like this at all. And that's fine. I've built many inserts that people don't necessarily like. I have an insert in hockey that's in the Hall of Fame for worst inserts. Our thermal threats from Full Force. So
Oh, right.
I'm
Yep.
and I'm not ashamed to say it. I think it's fun.
Mhm.
But this is some people are going to love this insert, and some people are not going to like them. And to each their own. But I think it's a fun insert. I think it marks a very important date in AEW history, and we made an insert out of it.
No, that's fair enough. Look, I wanted to give you the chance. I knew that you had feelings, so I wanted to make sure you had the chance to express the feelings. Now, I am going to back you up a little bit on this. I do remember the ice cream bars from the CM Punk's debut, but also, for a further callback, the whole ice cream bar thing was a callback to the Summer of Punk, because during the run there that he was doing in WWE, one of the things that he said during one of his promos was he basically, like, one of the demands he made of Mr. McMahon when he was having this fake contract signing where he was making demands of what he wanted if he was going to re-sign with WWE, rather than potentially leave with the championship. This was in the run up to his match with John Cena. He demanded the return of the WWE ice cream bars. So that was
Well,
the impetus of then subsequently the ice cream bars.
if you notice, these are not like the WWE
Yeah.
ice cream bars.
No, but I'm
These are,
saying the original reference to the ice cream bar,
oh, yes.
the follow up was like, now he got his ice cream bar. AEW basically fulfilled the promise of the Summer of
Yes.
Punk and actually gave him the ice cream bars.
Yes.
Yeah. But I'm just giving
Oh,
a little extra contextual background, Billy.
it's,
I can offer the a little extra background on that
I
one.
appreciate it. Like I said, it's a moment. It's a historically important moment in AEW history, and I made an insert out of it, and it's just a fun insert. And people act like this is the only insert that's going to come in every single pack. That's what I love is the way that some people are responding, and it's like this is the only insert, and I don't want buses, and I don't want ice cream bars. I
Oh,
want
we're getting to the
whatever.
bus. We're getting to the bus, Billy. Don't skip ahead. We're getting to the bus. Don't worry about that. I knew you had feelings. I wanted you to get them out and have a moment to say it. But now we're gonna move on. We got my squad here. Now this one feels like, so is this meant to be like for trios, kind of trio setup?
It's
Because
kind of like a trios card. It was
yeah,
well, here's one of the things that you'll learn when it comes to trading cards is sometimes things are what's the word I'm looking for, licensed already, or they are not licensed. You can't use an insert name because someone else is copyrighted. That's the
trademark.
word I'm looking for. So I think I wanted that insert to be like my click or Stables or something like
Yeah.
that. And
So that
unfortunately,
would be a WWE trademark probably.
yeah, unfortunately, we can't use stuff like that.
Yep.
So actually, it was the guys at AEW came up with. They're like, "Why don't you call it my squad?" We're like, "Hey, if that's what you want me to call it, that's what I'll call it." So it's my squad. So yeah, it's kind of like trios or kind of like people that are associated with each other in their specific group.
Okay, now I am like title. By the way, thematically, timing wise, these mock-ups are appropriate. These guys came back recently at Full Gear, pretty
Yep.
good. So timing wise, not bad on this mock-up. It actually timing makes a lot of sense, and they're competing for the trios championship. So conceptually, this actually works out very nicely for the mock-up. Title fights, obviously MJF also Full Gear, thematically appropriate. Where good timing. Okay, now here's the bust one. Now let me ask you a question. I don't have an issue with this one way or the other because when I look at wrestling cards, I look at it from the perspective of do I have fun? As long as I have fun with it and it can look, professional wrestling is inherently silly. Like if we take it to it's inherently ridiculous if you really think about it. So you got to embrace the ridiculousness, and few embrace the ridiculousness quite like Danhausen. So I think this is appropriate that it's Danhausen on the mock-up. But here's my question: I don't have an issue with it being a bus. and I don't have an issue with Danhausen cursing people on a bus. Fine, I can get behind this concept on here. But here's the question that I actually have. From a thought process when you're scheming up the ideas and everything, this one is going to be a polarizing one, yes. But how do you decide whether you're going to, so how do you decide if you're going to do something like this, whether you do this in a way where you're going to get them more frequently and get that question more often? But this is 1 in 160 packs, which means it's actually a tougher pull on the one hand. But on the other hand, if someone is polarizing it and they just pulled 1 in 160 per pack card, that's a great pull. But then at the same time, if they have mixed feelings about the insert, was any consideration done that maybe make it easier? You're still going to get questions, but at least make it easier so it's a more common card and just do it the opposite?
Not at all.
Okay.
So here's an inside story for you. This insert was actually called Billboards and Buses.
Okay.
And it was going to be half of the cards were going to be billboards and half the cards were going to be buses. And then I found out that I couldn't use billboards or something because of billboard music, whatever.
Oh, okay.
So because of that, we just turned it into a full buses set. And I go to wrestling events in LA a bunch. And if you go out there, you'll see a bunch of buses with the wrestlers on it and just kind of like this. So I was just like, well, let's make a card out of it because it's synonymous with wrestling. That's kind of what this set is. Like a lot of the inserts, it's synonymous with wrestling. So these are like the tour buses. This isn't like, a bus that's driving to the casino with a bunch of 70-year-olds and they're going to go to brunch and then gamble for a few hours. This kind of represents like the buses that they bring from city to city, and they have all the crew and stuff like that, and the what's the word I'm looking for, like supplies or whatever, like they're kind of all in these big buses. So that's kind of what this is representing. And you know what, if someone gets it and it's 1 in 160 something and they put it on ComC for 25 cents, I know 2 people on this show that probably will snag it up because
if it's the right character, it will not be an issue. I'm not going to worry about that. No, but the only reason I'm asking the question is obviously every insert you're balancing it out, right? You're trying to have some that are tougher pulls. You're trying to have something that are easier pulls. I'm always curious. The reason I pose the question is that I don't have it. Like I said, I don't have an issue with it. Fair enough. Sounds good. And the logic makes sense. I get the theme that we're going for here. What I'm curious about is if you're going to have something that's a little bit more out there, how do you decide whether you're going to make it a tougher pull or an easier pull? Is there a consideration that sends you in one direction or another? That's the part that I was kind of curious about.
When you're building a set, you got to kind of figure out how the hits are going to fall and how you want them to fall. If you want something to be a case hit, if you want something to be a box hit, if you want like 2 or 3 per case or 2 or 3 per box, if you want something to be even rarer than 1 per case, you kind of have to get a feel for that. Another thing that probably people don't even think about, and I bet you this didn't even come across to you when you were thinking about it, is because of the die cuts, these cards have to be cut a specific way, to which they pretty much have to be, I can't just cut it and then they all just smush together and then they put it in a feeder. These have to be cut like an autograph card or like a memorabilia card. Because of all the curves and everything, they can't fit. They would fall through if you tried to slipstream cut these cards. And I've gone on I might have talked to you about slipstream and guillotine cutting. Slipstream is basically, it's like swipe, all the cards go together, there it is. But if you slipstream cut it, these cards will fall through holes because there's no corners to 3 of the corners. Or even 4 of the corners.
Yep.
So because of that, you have to guillotine cut it, and guillotine cutting costs a lot more than slipstream cutting. So for this specific insert, I'm like, well, it's probably going to have to be a pretty rare insert because of the way it's die cut. Because if you want to guillotine something that has, we'll just say this is not even close, I'm totally exaggerating, but say 10,000 copies, that's going to cost so much money as opposed to something that might have, and again, I'm completely exaggerating, I'm going to go extremely low just to be exaggerate. 5 copies. We already know this has a ratio of 1 in 600 or 160 something. So
160. Yeah.
it's not 5 copies, but say 5 copies. It's much cheaper to cut that way.
Yeah, so there's a manufacturing consideration. There's a logic element to it. You have to bear that in mind with it, which makes sense. That's kind of why I wanted to open up the question. I assumed that there were some specific thoughts and considerations that played into it, and that makes sense. That's fair. I think it's going to also be a bear as far as condition is though. I love die cut cards like a lot of folks do, but die cut cards tend to be a bear because a lot of edges there that can be messed with.
Well,
you're
yes
kind of hoping for the best on that.
Yes and no. If you're talking about a regular C2S card, it can be tough. But that chromium stock, try to rip it.
Mm-hmm.
You can't. You can't tear a chromium card in half. They're a little the edges and whatnot are a little bit sturdier on.
So this one's going to be in the chromium as well, kind of fit with the rest of the set.
The whole set. The whole set is
Gotcha.
set is chromium stock.
All right.
Yep.
No, that's fair. That's good. That's a good point. That's a good one to know.
And notice there's no like sharp edges either. It's also kind of like rounded on purpose.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree with you. If the thing is, we're looking at the mock-ups, so that's good. It's a good note to point that if it's going to stick to chromium stock, you're right. It is more durable, and they tend to do a little bit better holding up.
Yeah.
So now we got the Color Flow series, which actually I liked, and also I appreciate that in the mock-up we include Dr. Baker D. It's very important, very critical. Now the next shot is actually the good one.
Yeah, the color flow is one of the inserts that I'm really happy about. It started off in hockey. How many times do you hear people saying, "I want to collect the rainbow. I want to collect the rainbow."
Mm-hmm.
But there's never been an insert that's actually a rainbow. It might have like a red, like a connecting rainbow, something that looks like a rainbow. And so, I challenged my design team to come up with something clever that when you put all the cards together, it looks like a rainbow. Yeah, it's the same photo of the person and everything, but connected all next to each other, you've got a rainbow. And I wanted to do it where it's not impossible. A lot of rainbows that people collect, it's like the last one-on-one or maybe number out of 10 or something like that. And it's very tough to collect a rainbow. So I wanted to still make it very reasonable. I mean, not like super easy, but still doable to collect a full rainbow of one's favorite wrestler.
Mm-hmm. No, it sounds
and
good.
You
And
kind of
I
see
think it's
that.
a good. Yeah, it's a good compromise. I think aesthetically it is. I think the gradient going from one to the other, I think ended up being a good call because it does look interesting in this format, kind of going from left to right or right to left. So I think that's actually a very good, cool call out. And you're right. There's a lot of folks that are going to have the different ones here. So the red orange edition is the most common one in 4 packs, and then it is staggered, presumably 50 card checklist as well. So I can see here. So here's your color flow. So it looks like after the 1 of 1, the next one is numbered to 199, which isn't too bad. That's not too crazy. I think that's very attainable.
Yeah, a golden treasure card is going to look a lot different than a rainbow. Like that's just like the gold. It's not the color scheme. It's the whole card is gold. Similar to the 1 of 1s.
Sounds good. And then we do have some autographs here. And this lady here is actually going to come into play here when we get over to the flagship piece. It's actually going to be very funny. Back to back, the 2 characters we have here. We'll get back to that here in a minute. Billy knows where I'm going with this, but we'll get back to that. But we got the autographs in here as well, so that's great. And we've got a couple different variants, so that's solid. Pretty straightforward there. I do like. I think this might be Julia Hart's first autograph as well. I believe.
More than likely, yeah.
Yeah, I believe so.
I'm not sure if she's in Metal. I'm not sure if she's in Metal Universe.
True. So maybe not here. And then we got here Powerhouse and Title Ambitions. That's pretty good. That's a nice design. I like that. That's pretty solid. So just scrolling down to see if there's anything else.
An example of a die cut. That's an example of a die cut card that you can cut a specific way, so it can fall into packs a lot more frequently because you've got Sounds those good. Corners and those edges.
Very nice. I like it. So that's a pretty good one. Like I said, it's going to be interesting to see. I think it looks good. And it's one of those things where it is going to pose a challenge. And I'll go back to the very first image because this is the variant with the AEW logo in the background, which does jive very similarly with some of the NHL ones because I believe, correct me if I'm mistaken, I think in Allure for hockey, You've got ones that you've got like the NHL Shield on as a background on one.
Yeah, there's that. There's some other cool ones. There's some Easter eggs in there, like we always like to do, for some inserts. Like the hockey had the blue china. There might be some fun stuff in AEW also. There's also inserts that aren't pictured. When we solicit stuff, I think we get like 6 to 8 photos to use. So there's a number of inserts that or parallel inserts and parallels that we might not see here in the solicitation also.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Anything else you want to touch on for Allure? We got to have the therapy session where you got to justify your ice cream fixation. We covered
Well,
that.
we don't go on the boards in the forums in the Facebook pages. I go on there to inform people. I don't
Mm-hmm.
go on there to argue with people or to kind of like love me, like me, love this or whatever. I go on there to just say someone saw something and I said, oh, that's what this is. We don't like to yell and scream. So I do that on people's podcast. No, I'm just joking.
Mm.
But this is kind of me giving the background that I don't necessarily type out on a Facebook page. But this is kind of letting me give the background of the reasons why certain things were done. Because the thing is, I can sit and talk to you about it, and
Yeah.
you would understand, and a lot of people that listen understand. But when you sit there and type it on a Facebook page or an Instagram page, you're just setting yourself up for a lot of trolls that will just try to bash like you can sit there and say the sky is blue and they're just going to argue with you
Mm.
because they want to. So that's kind of the approach that we take at Upper Deck, is to really not to argue but just to inform on such pages. So I appreciate you allowing me to explain
Mm-hmm.
what these inserts are and why we made them and how we feel about them.
No, that's fair. Like, look, at the end of the day, I say it kind of in jest, but it is truthful. I think there's room for all of it. I think, and it's the same approach I take to any other product. It's the same approach I take to hockey cards, baseball cards, football cards, whatever. Not everything is for me. Not everything is going to be as interesting to me. I don't have to collect everything, but I can pick and choose the stuff that I think catches my eye. I'm not going to be a bus guy, but if the right character is in a bus, I can probably make it work. It's fine. But there's a lot of stuff in there that would be of interest to me, like that Gratian color rainbow. I think that's awesome. I think a lot of those parallels, again, having a ton of parallels provides a certain type of challenge, but I felt like a lot of these parallels were fair. And that's really all you want as a player collector, so to speak. You're just like, please make it fair. Just give me a chance. That's all I ask.
We want you to open up a pack of Allure and you get some sort of, like, we just don't want all these silver cards and maybe a rainbow looking one. We want you to get some color and get some inserts in every single pack of Allure. And that's something I think we've accomplished in hockey, and that we are definitely accomplishing in AEW. The other thing I forgot to mention about the past two products that you're talking about, because
Mm-hmm.
I think the next one we're talking about is Flagship, is
We are.
people are seeing the solicitation for Metal Universe. People are seeing the solicitation for Allure, and they're like, whoa, whoa, whoa! You just gave us Spectrum. You just gave us 2022 AEW. Don't don't worry. These sets are not coming out tomorrow. This is solicitation. This is just to kind of get it out there that that these sets are coming. Prepare you guys, but they're not coming tomorrow. You've got some time to prepare for it. So
Mm-hmm.
I would recommend, if you do get a chance to order some metal and at a good price early, I would do so, because I think there's going to be a lot of hype behind it. But these cards are not coming out tomorrow. You've got some time. We're not putting 4 sets out in the next month. You don't have to worry about that.
No, that's perfect. Absolutely. No, it's one of those things. Also, ironically, in this specific genre, with what you guys have done, because of the delays, we had this weird thing where 2021 Flagship had this long gap, and then Spectrum. So right now it feels like it was compressed, but in reality, Spectrum should have happened earlier, and then next Flagship would have happened, and then these other ones would fall in a certain sequence, and it would probably have made more sense.
And that's a sign that things are getting better. Things aren't perfect yet, but things are getting better. and we hope that it continues.
Yeah, and I do think well, now that we're going to shift over to Flagship, I think the advantage of Flagship right now is that this time around I think there were some lessons learned from the first round. I think there were some adjustments made that offered because I got a chance to watch some breaks of it. I got to watch a case of it get broken, and it felt like because I opened a box of 2021 myself, and I've got another box that I got closed here. I'm keeping the inaugural. I'm keeping one sealed for myself. But I got a chance to open one, and I certainly got a chance to open stuff on EPAC, and I got to vicariously live through people who get retail, Billy, people who get retail in countries that get retail. I have to give them a hard time. It's very important to me. But the point is, I got a chance to open it, and I got a chance to pull a variety of different things, and I was able to build a set, and I was able to get a lot of it. So I got to enjoy the first series quite a bit. But I felt like this time around some additional pieces were added, and now I'm going to show the pictures and stuff as we're going to go along, and then you can add in anything you'd like to, and then we'll get to one of my favorite cards for the reason that I can offer some background on that Billy didn't know, but now we're all going to get a chance to talk about it together. But let's talk about the set here. I'll do the little screen share thing again here with some of the details, and as we go along, Billy, you can fill in anything you like.
And we've learned a couple lessons from the previous year. Knowing what the market was going to do, and knowing what the market was going to do during COVID, we didn't know what to expect. We I don't want to say we thought we knew, but it's one of those things where you come up with numbers, the research justifies the numbers, and then all of a sudden COVID hits and everybody is looking for this product, and it was tough to gauge. So we saw that we wanted to make sure we could get product into people's hands that wanted it, except in Canada, blasters.
Yes.
Joking, but some of the other stuff that we really wanted to focus on is numbered cards. There weren't a lot of numbered cards in the first set, and I thought that was something that was missing. So we definitely added more opportunities for people to get numbered cards in the set, not just ratioed parallels that are tough to get, stuff like the finishers or the first edition cards, or the dynamites. So we added numbering to a number of the inserts for people, and some higher numbering too. So you still feel like you're getting more numbered cards per box, so it feels good to people. And then we also kind of wanted to add some more colors, because the pyro parallel is cool, but let's add some color to the pyro parallels. Let's add some rainbow foil board to the main feature parallels and stuff like that. So we made it a lot more colorful. We made it more hits. We replaced the shadow box cards with our breakout cards, which I think are pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm gonna just skip ahead here. There you go.
The breakouts, and here's a prime example. People see that and they just don't understand how cool these cards actually look. Like these are, acetate cards with rainbow foil board, die cut on top of the player and the area that looks like the broken glass sort of thing. They're really nice cards. And this is one of those instances where people look at it and just think it's a regular, 20-point C2S card, when in fact it's, acetate, rainbow foil, die cut, like a whole bunch of stuff's going on in this card, and they're really nice. We pulled, I think you get four per case. So
that's right. Yeah.
They're rare, and it's going to take quite a number of cases to finish a set of these, but I think they came out gorgeous.
Yeah. Now, and I'll say, like I said, I watched the case being broken, and they pulled four of them. They actually got very lucky in the sense that they got a couple of the SP'd ones, the short prints. But still, four per case. And I will say, if you get a chance to check it out, check out one in a break where you're getting the chance to see video, because then you get to see the shine and the acetate a little bit if they show you the card properly. I agree. I think design wise, this actually is a really good looking card.
Yeah, and then if you want to scroll back up to that.
We get canvas here, so I'll go back up a couple here at a time.
Yeah, no problem. The canvas is always great. It's an opportunity for unique photos, and there's quite some unique photos in in the canvas set, front and back. It's kind of fun. We like to, kind of show off the photography that has been given to us, and that's something that I kind of also want to mention is like people seem to think that we can get photos of everything and anything, that the show is on television and all we have to do is screen grab every single moment. And that's actually not the case. A lot of the photos are provided by AEW, and they do a great job of taking photos. Like you've seen the sets. There's some really cool photos that have been given to us, but it's not like we have an unlimited amount of photography to choose from. But we do get a lot. We do get some great images from them, and we try to take advantage of those in the canvas set for sure.
Absolutely. And I will say, like I said, having the chance to have seen it, get it broken. For fans of Jamie Hayter, you're going to get a chance to. She's got a base card, and she does have a unique canvas, so which has got some good photography on there as well. So obviously, the new AEW Women's Champion, so it's going to get some feature in that as well.
Yes.
So we got the outside the ring, so we've got that
So,
one.
so the outside the ring actually, and here's one of those instances again where maybe you try to be, you have to kind of learn what you can and can't do. This was going to be kind of like behind the curtain sort of thing. That's why you kind of see the curtain. I think in the final design, it doesn't even look like this. It looks even different, more different. That it does. I don't even think it has a curtain in the design anymore because it didn't make sense outside the ring and you show a curtain. So we actually changed the design than what you see in the mock-up here. But it was when I mentioned that AEW gives us a bunch of really good photos. It's funny, what was kind of missing, and this insert almost didn't make the set, were like behind the scene photos, and that you kind of always have to be careful, breaking down the walls. And so we have to be particular about what photos we use and stuff, because these guys do a lot of shows, they do a lot of charity work, they do a lot of promotion and stuff, and that's kind of like the photos that we were looking for, but we didn't really get a lot of those images. And then of course, after the set was built and everything was kind of finalized, they sent us a whole bunch of amazing, and I think they're going to be used in another insert in another set, but a whole bunch of amazing behind the scene images, these black and white images that are just absolutely stunning. They have a specific photographer that does these, and unfortunately it didn't make it into the set. The images that were given to us after the fact was exactly what the concept I wanted, but unfortunately we just didn't get those photos in time. But they do a lot of behind the scenes stuff. You don't necessarily want to show a picture of like two guys that are feuding, hugging each other, or passing out turkeys or something like that. But there is a lot of cool stuff that happens behind the scenes.
What if they're passing out turkeys while getting off the bus? I feel like that could be a thing.
Or I should have said handing out ice cream bars.
I was gonna say just tie it all together, Billy. Tag it all together. We're being professional here. Now, I also include here debut dates. We got that one as well for a lot of the different debuting folks. This one, interesting timing on this one ended up. Like at the time, it made total sense. It made total sense at the time. Could not have made more sense, really. But it is kind of funny the way that one works out, and obviously you got the parallels of that one. Go ahead.
It's a year process of building a set of cards, and the checklist is made fairly early because then they have to get the photos and they have to color correct the photos and they have to get approvals and blah blah blah. So debut dates is a set that's kind of in one of our other flagship products, and so I just kind of wanted images of the wrestlers that throughout the year, like the day that they debuted. Now since then we have our new arrival set, so this might be a one and done insert. But there were a lot of debuts that happened that first year that we didn't make new arrival cards for, that we or promo cards for. So we just kind of came up with a debut date insert for them.
No, I think it's fair. Now, obviously, this is the tag team, basically the subset, the inside the main set. And now talking about the base set, one of the things that I mentioned and I talked about it before. Now it's not in these mock-ups here. But obviously, like I said, collecting the Britt Baker cards, I caught wind of one of the images. I sent it to Billy because I chuckled, and it's basically an image of Britt Baker hitting the lockjaw on Julia Hart. And what was funny was I was telling Billy and giving him the story, and I'm going to show the picture, not of the card, but I'll show a picture that's a reference photo of this one. Is that I recognized I didn't know initially what it was from. I just knew I had seen it before. I recognized it from seeing the match itself on AEW television. And as it turned out, the specific photo was from a AEW Dynamite episode in 2021. So still basically at the tail end of COVID, they still were doing it in Daly's Place. They had a little bit of an audience. It was a scaled back audience, and it was in the very first Blood and Guts themed Dynamite episode. And the way I was able to figure that out, now I'd like to credit my amazing memory, but in fact, I remember that I had seen it, but I wasn't 100% sure which one it was. But as it turned out, and I'll actually be able to show this to you, is if you do look up basically Britt Baker, Julia Hart, because they haven't had 100 matches, so it's one of those things you can narrow the scope down pretty quick. But what happens is on AEW's own YouTube channel, right on the thumbnail for it, you got the exact same shot from the card, and it was the AEW Blood and Guts episode, and you can actually see the match in its entirety. It was a squash match. It was about a minute and a half.
Well, we purposely made that card for you and to test your memory for it.
Absolutely, and I appreciate it. I feel I passed. I feel I did what I needed to do. Now, a quick side bonus that's kind of a fun one. Obviously, Julia Hart now is featured because of the lead time and everything. This wouldn't have been something that would have been thought of at the time, but she is obviously featured more now as a member of the House of Black. If you watch AEW television, and what's funny is that this was her Dynamite debut at the time that this episode aired originally. So it's kind of like a little Easter egg for the Julia Hart fan out there. That's like, actually, this was her first television show appearance on Dynamite in this very same episode that this picture was taken in.
And the big question is, are people going to think this is her rookie card?
Oh, I think that's a debate that immediately has to happen. Like it's critical, important. I just think it's a fun little quirk. It adds a little element to it because obviously in sports, we get certain cards, and I know there are people that do this. They'll go and like match it, like game date match it to like, oh, this photo was in this game, and they were able to figure out like which game it came from and stuff like that. And that's the thing, photo matching, the image to the specific occasion or event or game or whatever. It's not something that I don't think is super common in wrestling, but if you got a good action shot and it's unique enough, you could probably figure it out if you really wanted to. Like I said, it only happened that this one was on television, and I remembered it at the time because it was the themed show. Because AEW likes to do its theme shows now. Well, that was one of the theme shows at the time.
Will this be like Alexa Bliss and be one of the only cards that she's in her like cheerleading outfit in? Because I'm sure she'll be in the in the other outfit for. I mean, we've already solicited her with an image in Allure. So unless she's in Metal Universe in a cheerleading outfit, this might be the only card of her in a cheerleading outfit.
Well, we did see that one though. We did see that one autograph, like from the mock-up. I don't know if that's the final photo, but we did have the one mock-up where I think it was in between. It was later on where she was still cheerleader, but I think she was wearing the eye patch. She was wearing the eye patch, I think, in the other one. So it was like she was transitioning between cheerleader to House of Black. It was in that middle ground there.
It's funny. I worked the Fan Expo in Vegas for Double or Nothing, and it was crazy because she was just walking, like it was just kind of like dude, like they have their tables where they're set up, and occasionally they'll come to like the sponsor booths and stuff and take some photos or whatever. Julia Hart was just walking around, and then people kept like once people like kind of figured it out, she was stopping. I felt bad. She would stop like every 5 seconds to take a photo with someone. It's just like, well, I guess your time here is probably done because you're not going to want to sit here and take a picture with, hundreds, if not 1,000 people there. But yeah, she was just wandering around. I was just like, oh, there's Julia Hart. Interesting.
Well, it's the thing is that I think it changes it's one of those things where if you don't know right away, Julia Hart could literally walk around and be fairly unassuming in a lot of places. She's like, if she's not dressed up in a getup, it's like you're not going to assume anything. She could literally have just walked right across the street, and most people won't know the difference. But it's in the right context. All of a sudden, it's like, huh, Oh, okay. I think I know who that is. Especially now that
Well,
she's on TV more. Now that like
yeah,
you see her all the time.
you say that, and the funny part is, so there was a charity event the first night, so there was like special VIP, so there wasn't many people around, and
Yeah.
like these people were walking around, and then after the fact, we are like, you know who that tall guy was? That was Luchasaurus. Because he didn't have
Hmm.
his mask on or anything like
Exactly.
that. We're like, oh shoot! You're like, yeah, the
Yeah.
tent. I'm like, oh my goodness! Like
And
he was just
he's
standing
gonna
at our
stand
booth for
up
a
more
while.
than normal people. Like that's an extreme example because he's a tall dude. Like he's a big
Yeah,
guy
but
by
we
like
just we
regular
never
people
put.
standards.
And then Warlord. The funny thing is, like, there's a guy. I'm like, that looks like Warlord, and it was his dad. They look exactly alike. It was
Oh, really?
hilarious, except
Okay.
except like 20 years older.
Yep. Well, my buddy, when they did the AEW show in Toronto here, my buddy actually he likes to. I think he's borrowing a page out of your playbook. He was hanging out earlier, being a little bit of an autograph hound and hanging out a little bit, getting a selfie and stuff. And yeah, he got a picture with Wardlow and got him to sign a thing for him as well. So he and by the way, and he reported really chill dude. Was just chatting with folks and hung out and signed a little bit and then went off about his business.
Yeah, that's another picture people think we did a guy wrong with is his Spectrum photo where he's got the mouthpiece in. They're like, "Come on, you could have come up with something better." Not every picture unfortunately is perfect, but our photo team I think did a really good job with series 2. I enjoy them a lot more. I jokingly said, "Could you guys please just get a picture of Ty smiling?" I go, "She's got a nice smile, and she's either pouting or like mad in every single card up until this series." And you'll notice she's got a big old grin on her face for 2022 AEW Flagship because there might have been specific direction to finally find a picture of her where she's smiling and not sad or mad.
So per edict of Billy, we took care of it this time. Gotcha. All right, so I'll pull the flagship picture back up. So here are our autographs. We got that. This is one of the parallel variants, right?
Yep.
That's one of them. But again, we got the Thunder Rosa in there. So a little bit more feature on some of the people that weren't available in quite the same abundance the first time around. And then we got the base memorabilia. I saw there were a couple of versions of this. Looks like, from what I saw, at least on the surface, I think it looks like the various wrestlers were in this kind of gold border. That's kind of your base design. And then I think there's a red one and a couple of variants there.
Yep.
So pretty good. And then this one was an interesting piece. So this is an interesting decision. So I actually want to ask you about this one. So this is a Jumbo Matte Relic signature, but these are available by redemption. So this is kind of an interesting thing. We're invoking the dangerous redemption game, Mr. Billy. Thoughts? What's the thought process here?
Thought processes, and we haven't even mentioned one of the big Easter eggs yet.
No, we'll get. Well, I know I haven't forgotten, but we're
Okay.
talking about an autograph card, but we'll come back to the
Yep.
Easter egg. But
So
about this one.
one of the big things is from the first set and from Spectrum is people were like, we want some hard signed content,
Right.
and it's understandable. People like to know that like the wrestler touched the card and not just a sheet of stickers.
Mhm.
And so sat there and like, well, how can we get them to? How can we get some hard signed material other than a sticker? And people have had matte signed cards before. People have had cloth signed cards before. People have had stick cards signed before. So
Mhm.
having somebody sign a piece of memorabilia and put it in a card is nothing new.
Mhm.
But I didn't want to just do the same old, same old. I'm like, well, let's do a jumbo mat relic. Give them a nice big space to sign, and that's what these are. And obviously, you can't put these in packs because they're too big. So they are redemptions. All of these cards have already been made. All these cards have already been signed,
Okay. Very
and
good.
they're ready to go as soon as you turn in the redemption card for them, or as soon as you get the redemption card. You can punch in the number, and the card will be ready to get mailed. You're not going to be sitting there waiting for like 2 or 3 years. Like, where's my Alexa Bliss card? I only say that because I know she was redemption in WWE, but
Mhm.
where's my whoever card? Nope, these are made. They're done. We just can't put them in packs because they're too big. Because I didn't want to make them like a regular signed relic card. I wanted to make them something special, something big, and we were able to then have these pieces of the cut mat. When the wrestlers signed their other stuff, they were able to sign these mat cards or these mats. So then we could put the mats into the cards. So
Oh, that
that's the
sounds.
story behind the jumbo mat relics is to give people, um, a hard signed card. Not that stickers aren't hard signed, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's basically built into the card because it's actually on the relic piece. So that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's good stuff. Now, speaking of hard signed, speaking of on the card, so I've gone through the images. Obviously, the release date is today that we're talking. It was the official release date. Obviously, I mentioned already. I've seen a case break, so I was able to get a little bit of a feel and a taste for the stuff itself. I've pre-ordered a couple of boxes, but we have an Easter egg that talk about hard signed. Tell us about that one.
Yeah, usually I don't like to give out the Easter eggs for a period of time, but since it's been quite noticeable already, I wanted hard side content. We listen to you guys, and we're gonna do whatever we can to try to make it happen. It's just the circumstances of how we get autographs is just doesn't necessarily allow us to make cards at a at an economical good way to then get them hard signed. Because the roster is constantly changing. So because of that, it's just like, well, we're going to get a bunch of guys to sign. Why don't we take last year's set and have them sign a number of the base cards, and then also take some of the canvas cards and have them sign some of the canvas cards, and that's what we did. If you get a penny sleeve in a pack, don't be afraid. That's a good thing because all the cards will come with a hologram sticker and a COA, penny sleeved with the people call them buybacks, with
Hmm.
the buyback card that is hard signed. So that was our way of getting hard side content into the set. It's funny because you sit there and try to make people happy, and as I said, there's always going to be somebody, and I see people complaining. They're like, "Why am I getting last year's cards in this year's product? I want this year's cards," and it's just like you can't make everybody happy, I guess. But this was our hard signed content for this set. I thought it was executed fairly well, and I'm happy that we were able to get it into the set because from a timing standpoint, it literally was a matter of days on whether or not those cards were going to be able to make it into the set or not into the set because it took a while for the first series to come out.
Yeah.
So because of the delays with the first series, it was very close for our signing period to get those cards signed.
Sounds good. Now, also, it also provides a bonus hit. Really, at the end of the day, it provides another possibility for something that could be kind of fun and could be kind of cool for somebody to be able to pull. And it was fun when I did see that case break, since the information hadn't disseminated out there, to see the pack with the penny sleeve, and then they're like, "What's this?" And then you get kind of the reveal. So it is kind of fun to have that little an element of surprise, even beyond like what you could find listed in a lot of these listings.
Yeah, we like to do that with a lot of our sets. Is just throw a couple Easter eggs that help add value to the set.
Absolutely. Now, one other thing that occurred to me, and then I'll kind of get some thoughts, final thoughts on you on Flagship, because we wanted to talk about that for a little bit as well. Now, from some of the other sets, it reminded me. We talked about Allure already a little bit, so I want to circle back on one thing. And it occurred to me that because of the nature of the product, with all the parallels that they're on Allure, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, I assume you guys are using the similar convention where on the back of the card it tells you which one of the parallels it is.
Yes,
Yeah.
we have. I don't want to say learned our lesson. I think maybe in one of the first Prism set or not Prism, in one of the first Platinum sets.
Yeah.
I don't know if we mentioned which parallel it was. Well, for our Chromium products that have quite a number of parallels, we always try to put the parallel name on the card to help the consumer.
Hmm. Yeah, and that was something we talked about actually in the first series because I said people got confused between the pyro and the dynamite, and they would kind of get them interchangeable. And it's one of those, and it was only a handful. Like obviously more parallels is more complicated, but they were still getting the two mixed up, like which was which and stuff like that. And it's just easier when the parallels on the back and you make everybody's life easy. It's right there. Just look it up and there's the name of it. I figured with Allure you already had it in there because Allure has that now. So I just assumed that convention got carried over to this product.
Yeah, it's an Allure. I don't know if we put that in Flagship. I'm not
I don't believe
positive.
so. I haven't seen it, but I'd have to check and see what some of the cards got pulled. I don't believe so,
Yeah.
but yeah. But it could be something good for down the road. We know that people, it's getting tougher because sometimes when we got a lot of parallels, it's some of them are obvious, but some of them is like, if the person doesn't know, they don't know. And it's good for them just to be like, here, that's what it is. Here you go. You're not being fooled. It's like, that's exactly what it is right there.
Yeah. No, understandable. And we've done it more and more. Like even in our like flagship hockey, like I think we're putting, if it's a photo or maybe it's a lure, like um we'll put photo variant on it now just because as much as we want people to look at their base cards, too many complaints of people throwing away or giving away their rare cards and then sitting there saying, I didn't get a hit in my box or in my pack. And it's just like, well, that's because you didn't realize it was a photo variant kind of thing. So we've been a little better about helping people out when it comes to variants also.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I think that's going to be a good thing, and it's one of those things. You're seeing the advancement, you're seeing an evolution in a lot of these products, and you're seeing some adjustment to it. I think it's going to be interesting. I think for the wrestling collector fan, I think the next couple of products, including this one, are going to make things really interesting. Now we're going to have a little bit of a mix, a little bit of variety. We're going to have two flagship issues. We're going to have the Spectrum for a little bit of higher end stuff, and then we're going to start getting some of those parallels with some of those other features and PMGs. Oh goodness, the PMGs. We're going to get some of that, so that'll be coming as well.
Hey, I'm in the same boat as you when it comes to those PMGs now. I'm gonna have to decide how much I really want to spend when that set comes out.
That's right. Now, any other kind of last thoughts on flagship? Anything else that kind of comes to mind that you want to make sure you hit on?
Not really. I think it came out. I think it came out really well. As I said, we listened to feedback. We did our best to accommodate within the parameters of what we can and cannot do. And I think our design team did a good job with the inserts, and I'm just looking forward to seeing more and more of it open. Like we opened up a case today, and it was an enjoyable break. It really was, and the price wasn't. The price hadn't skyrocketed to the prices that the first edition did. So it made it feel like a much more enjoyable break too, knowing that I'm not panicking that I got to get $250 worth of value out of out of this box.
Yeah.
I'm seeing prices, around what $90, $100, and so now I look at these boxes when I'm opening them and saying, this is what I was anticipating. This is what I was expecting. I feel like you're getting value out of it. And then again, to the people that are expecting the whole autograph per box or two autograph per boxes and stuff like that, just kind of look at the value of what our autographs sell for, as opposed to, autographs that you see that are in one a box or two a box. I think it says a lot to the value of the autographs the way we do it.
Yep. I also think that having the breakout this time, I like the shadow box cards. I thought they were very cool, but I think this breakout set, when people get a chance to see the actual insert itself, I think is a nice blend between autograph, breakout, kind of a mix. Like if you're opening a couple of boxes, you got a pretty good shot at getting some combination therein, and I think that's a good compromise to give a nice option as well as another kind of hit.
Yeah, the only thing I liked the shadow boxes. I think that was the first time like really shadow boxes been done in wrestling cards. The only thing that I would say is I wanted it to be more like three-dimensional. I wanted part of the image to be on the front and part of the image to be on the back, and it kind of was all, on one layer. So that was one of the only frustrating parts about the shadow boxes initially. I still thought they looked really nice, but like you said, these breakouts, it's a whole nother level, I think, when it comes to a design for a card. I think they look great.
Yep. Now, I did want to mention this one because it wasn't in any of the mock-ups, but we actually chatted about it beforehand, and I actually think it's a cool. I think it's a slight upgrade from the previous years, even though I like the first attempt at it, the main features, because we didn't get a chance to talk about the main features at all. It's a pretty standard insert in the main one, but you do have various parallels, and I think the numbered colored parallels with the foil and everything, I actually think looks really nice. So I wanted to
Yeah.
take a second to mention it here at the end, since I actually think they look quite good. And I'll pick a
No.
random wrestler. We'll just find somebody. Let's go with this one. This one's good.
Oh, perfect. Beautiful.
I think random. I just picked one at random, Billy. I just went on eBay and just found one.
And you found, just like you found the color coordination with Britt Baker, looks like you found another color coordination here with Ty. Much appreciated.
It's a gift, Billy. These are things that I do. I just wake up in the morning and I can just do these things.
Well, the main features, the reason why I put these cards in here, and this is something that has just blown my mind, and not in a bad way at all. Yeah, I'm really excited about it. Is the main features we're supposed to be like character cards. When I say character cards, I'm talking about like entertainment sets and movies and whatever that. The movie cards have like the action photos and blah, blah, blah. But then you have these character cards, and those are the cards that people want to get signed. The thing is, our design team and our photo department did such a good job with the base set that people are getting the base cards signed too, because it's just the image, and like they have those action shots more for the canvas cards, and the base set cards are more kind of, I don't want to say posed cards. Like these are definitely posed cards, but
Yeah.
but more just still like the cropping is perfect to where they can sign the card. They're not signing over their face or whatever. And so, the main features was initially for those cards, for those, like your friend got was getting the autographs. That's what the main feature set was supposed to be, was like,
Yep.
these are the cards that are supposed to get signed. And they still look great, and I still would get them signed. And I think this year's design is even better. And I'm real happy with how they turned out.
Yeah. And I would
But
argue,
like,
yes. I think it is an improvement of design, and I think the foil. I think having the foil around the outside of it, because the first issue, I didn't mind it. I thought it was pretty nice, but the foil was limited to certain areas, and now you're actually getting it all the way around the card. That's why I wanted to show this one, in addition to randomly picking a wrestler. I just randomly picked one, but the point
random,
is that but having the foil all the way around the outside, I saw a couple different variants of this, and I actually think it looks quite good.
yeah, they came out great. And like I was mentioning earlier, is just the number of signed cards that I have seen, and just watching people like do what I do, kind of like getting cards signed. I just didn't realize it was to the numbers that I've been seeing, and it's really cool to see like people getting the set that I helped build. And I always say help build. I never say I built the set. This is mine. That I created the designs and all that other stuff. No, I draw stick people. I give them examples of kind of what I'm looking for, and it's stick people. We have a great design team, and so I help build them. But just to see people getting the cards signed that I helped build has just been so much fun for me to watch.
Absolutely. Does that mean in a future edition we get the Billy Celio sketch cards included as an Easter
Oh,
egg? Can you include the stick people in there?
I've tried. I had some Ant-Man when the first Ant-Man set came out. I made some sketch cards, and believe it or not, they were not approved. I think I'm on Marvel's do not use list.
Mm.
When you just draw dots to represent ants, I guess they don't really consider that artwork or something. I don't know. I thought
I
they
think it's
were
a lack
amazing.
of appreciation of your art, Billy. Like I'm hurt
I
by your
know. I
the
mean,
lack of appreciation of your art.
and I've sent it on to our sketch card people for other stuff, and they're like, no. It gets turned down every time. I turn in the same 3 sketch cards every time. If we're running short on a Marvel product for sketch cards, I'll always offer my assistance, and unfortunately, I just never get chosen.
This is unfortunate. I didn't want to end this discussion on such a somber note, but alas, I think that's where it's going to have to be. But a pleasure talking to you, Billy, as always. We've talked about offline. Like we enjoy this product, we enjoy this brand, we enjoy a lot of these characters, and it's great that you've been able to build out some of these sets. So kudos to you, kudos to the team, kudos to whoever picked the correct photo for Britt Baker for this one. Like correct. So I appreciate that, of course. But no, overall, I feel like I'm seeing a very good leap from Flagship 1 to the second one. Like a lot of elements of it, I think have advanced forward. I think it's really good. I'm looking forward to opening a couple of boxes myself. And I'm also looking forward to the specially marked case that you are personally sending me with all the cards that I want.
Wow. There goes the internet. We're gonna be on Card Porn or something like that here real soon, because they're gonna say like, oh, Upper Deck. No, just joking. No,
If
I
nothing else,
really
I
enjoy
want to
it.
rumor monger a little, Billy. Let me have my moment. I can't have blasters, so at least can I rumor monger?
Yeah, go for it.
There you go.
I will say, and I told everybody from the start, I built the first 5 sets, and we've seen now the first 5 sets. And what's awesome about Upper Deck, we have a number of project managers that are product managers that help build the structure of the set and give direction. And you'll be seeing some new eyes, some new guidance. I'll still be building 1 or 2 of them, but we've got a couple new guys building. This I think is my last flagship, and I think I want to. There's some that I'm keeping. There's some that I'm not, and there's a couple other project managers that will be helping out. So I've already kind of seen next year's flagship, and I'm really excited with it. Pat Smith is the one that built it, and he's a very what's the word I'm looking for? I gotta be nice. No, he's very creative. That's the word I'm looking for. He's a very creative guy, and is in love with every single insert ever made in trading card history. He can just say, hey, do you remember this? Do you remember this? Do you remember this? More specifically, if Ken Griffey Jr. was on that card, he probably owns it. But he's very knowledgeable in inserts and coming up with really creative ideas. And I think you're going to see that in next year's. Not that mine weren't creative, but I think you're going to see even another level of creativity, or another set of eyes, or another mind on the set. And I think you guys will really enjoy it. I know the process of building, it's already happened. When I say build it, I know they're already making designs for it. So that should be a lot of fun. Hopefully, in a number of months, you'll see solicitation for that. And then think that there's 5 sets coming out in a month. No, I'm just kidding. But like I said, and we've got a couple other guys that are building sets, so it should be fun. And then there might be some sets that are getting built that we haven't even announced yet. I say that every time on every show. There's some sets that we haven't announced, but we have a large library of iconic sets that give us an opportunity to make some really cool wrestling cards that have never been made before. And I will say this here. I will not say what it is. I can't say what it is, but in one of those sets that I'm talking about that we might build in the future that I can't announce, there's going to be some memorabilia in there that will absolutely blow people away. They will be in shock. They will be in awe, and I wish I could tell you what it is.
All right, so you heard it here first. Dynamite Diamond Ring embedded into like a 1,000,000-point card.
Yeah, I wish.
It would. I can't even imagine how thick that card would have to be. It'd have to be like an inch and change just to get it embedded in there. We see. I would love to see the holder for it. The holder would be entertaining.
Oh yeah. We did those. The chronology, I think, had we bought like rings for like special redemption cards, and they got like a ring, and some of them were like, we made a card that could hold a ring. It was crazy.
There you go. That might be the path.
But that's not what it is.
Damn. I tried, guys. I tried. I figured I'd give it listen, I figured go wacky. Why not? If we're gonna have that'd be wacky.
Something that's never been done before. I'm telling you, it's never been done before, and it's gonna blow people away.
Interesting. Is so autograph with inscriptions of a wrestler telling the truth. That's never been done before. See,
No,
you weren't ready for that one, but that would never have been done before. That one's true.
there's no wrestlers like Pete Rose that'll just write whatever you want him to write.
It's like Bret the Hitman Hart autograph. I know he's not AEW. Bret the Hitman Hart autograph is I knew about the screw job. I was in on it. What? I don't think that one's coming out anytime soon. I think that would be scandalous, though. That would be something that's never been seen before. But anyway, Billy, a pleasure chatting with you. Been a lot of fun. Congratulations on the set so far, and we're looking forward to checking out some of the new ones. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and I'll start saving now for the PMG.
Whew. Sounds like a plan. Thanks a lot.
Good. Sounds good. Thanks very much. We'll catch everybody in the next one. One other thing I'll mention, I'll do the little closer now so that I can put the little piece at the end. But more videos coming up on the channel, live streams, 8 p.m. Eastern time as always. I'll do occasionally a special one like this. And as these other sets come out, I think, Billy, once we get a little closer, maybe we can chat about a couple of those. We'll see kind of how things work out. Because it's always fun to chat about them anyways as they're getting closer to fruition. So it's kind of fun. And then going forward will be, and occasionally, folks, if you check out the live stream, occasionally Billy pops in some of those too. Mostly talking about autographs. Mostly talking about taking pictures of people who are
this weekend or tomorrow. I took tomorrow off because I've maxed out on PTO, and if I don't take it, I lose it. And I told Grant I'm not losing my time off this year. I did it for 2 years during the pandemic because I had nothing else to do, so I just worked. But I'm going for Don Cheadle and Zoe Dutch tomorrow. So maybe I'll stop by on Friday for a hot second and confirm whether or not I got them.
There you go. So, like I said, from time to time, Billy will drop in and we'll chat about some of his ventures off and meeting the celebrities. Anyway, so that's it for me for now. Like I said, more videos coming up on the channel, live streams on Fridays, 8 p.m. Eastern time. Thanks very much. We'll catch you in the next one.